Hi, today I'm going to show you the process of writing a paper for an English class. This can be accomplished in many ways, but these are some staple guidelines and steps that should be applicable to many, if not all, situations when drafting a paper. We'll start with the requirements. When writing an English paper, you're going to need the following: time, Microsoft Word, paper or pen, dictionary and thesaurus, a prompt or project goal, research, other resources, and an open mind. We'll go through these one at a time. Above all, you're going to need time to put your ideas to paper and draft out the entire thing. We recommend starting at least 3 or 4 days before the assignment is due, but preferably, you would start working on it from the moment the paper is assigned. Microsoft Word, paper, and pen. These are usually preference things. It's recommended that you use Microsoft Word, as that's what I'll be showing you here, but you can go about it the old-fashioned way if that's all you got. You've got to have something to put the words on. Dictionary and thesaurus. These two things go hand in hand. You use the dictionary to help yourself understand the right way to use words, and the thesaurus to understand which are the words that best convey your meaning. These will generally be useful in editing, so we'll talk about these more later. Prompt or project goal. This is pretty self-explanatory. You need writing to accomplish something. Whether that's going to be a short essay, a report, or a short story, you got to know what you're going to be writing in the first place. Research. Depending on what kind of essay or paper you're writing, you may need to research beforehand. This would include using internet resources, which I'll talk about in a minute, as well as a physical research through books or interviews. This is not always needed, but it's recommended if one wants to truly understand what they're talking about. Other resources. Sites such as the Purdue OWL, the Texas Tech Writing Center, and even your textbooks can have answers to many questions or struggles you may encounter when writing a paper. Keep these on hand. I promise you'll find them useful. And last but definitely not least, an open mind. Real talk. You can't write anything, especially not something for a grade, if all you can think is, I really don't want to do this right now. Give yourself some time to get into the mindset, and then buckle down and do it. I promise it'll go faster than you thought. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's look at our processes. Process 1 is going to be drafting the paper. Step 1 for this process is research. Research your paper and give yourself time to write it. Step 2 is begin drafting. For this example, we're going to look at a writing from a typical English essay. First, however, we're going to look at a few basic tips to keep in mind. Be argumentative. Make a case. If it's not taking a stance, it's not a thesis. Be analytical, not evaluative. You're not here to critique how effective the work is. You're here to analyze and break down what you see. Be specific. Now that you've made sure that you have a point, get to it. This example that we've written here is short, but captures the basics of the 3 things stated above. Step 4 is to develop an outline. This will be specific to your paper and thesis. There are many ways to do this, but make sure that your outline gets the gist of your intro, middle, or body, and conclusion paragraph. They will be based off of your thesis. Step 5 is to create your introduction and include your thesis. Its intention is to grab the reader while also giving away exactly what the paper is going to be about. Step 6 is to work towards the middle and conclusion. The body of your paper needs to explain topics and ideas that you set forth in both your thesis and your introduction. Maintain these ideas in a clear and specific way that works towards your conclusion. Step 7 is to conclude your paper. Your conclusion should loop back around to your thesis and restate the ideas that you've chosen to express throughout your paper. Now that finishes up process 1. Now we're going to go process 2, editing the draft. Step 1 is to grab your resources. Grab your dictionary and thesaurus. Step 2 is going to be improving the content of your essay. Before focusing on the grammar and syntax of your paper, make sure that you've got the correct amount of content, and the right context for that matter. There's nothing worse than editing a paper that isn't even a solid answer to the prompt given. Step 3 is to look for any syntax and grammar issues. Step 4 is to read your paper aloud. It may seem silly, but this is ultimately the best way to find out if anything sounds awkward, silly, or plain wrong in your paper. It will also help sniff out any grammar or syntax errors that you might have caught in the step before. Step 5 is to let someone else read it. Having a fresh set of eyes may be the key to finding errors you've yet to find. Try to get feedback on specific things, on not just how good or bad the paper was. You're really looking for constructive criticism here. Step 6 is to finalize and turn in your paper. Make sure to apply all the feedback that you've gotten up to this point, as well as to make sure that you've tailored the paper in both writing and design towards how the instructor wanted it. Once you're satisfied, you turn the paper in to your appropriate place.